Hello and welcome to Oakland Days UK. I'm Matt Smith. This is part 2 of a two-parter in which we're doing an end of January review of Liège's off-season so far. Part 1 looked at position players, and I'll put a link to that in the description below if you've not seen it already. In this part 2 we're going to have a look at the pitching staff. Plenty of names to get through, so let's get going. We'll start in the bullpen, which was such a strength for Liège in 2018. There were a whole bunch of players that came in during the season, and some of them are here, some of them are not. Jarius Familia was always going to be a short-term rental. We knew not to get too familiar with him, let's put it like that. He's gone back to the Mets on a nice $30 million contract, so good for him. Sean Kelly is another guy who is currently not signed with a team, but is a free agent. Recent reports have talked about the teams that are interested in him. Liège aren't among them, and that's not really a surprise. He was kind of just another extra piece that we added in because he was available. Didn't expect to see him back in 2019, and doesn't look like we will do. Another person who's left is actually a recruit from the previous off-season. Emilio Pagon was picked up from the Mariners in the trade for Ryan Healy, and he never really settled in and kind of gained the confidence of Bob Melvin, you felt, in 2018. I do think he's got the potential to be a capable major league reliever, but he was hit about quite a bit, especially for the long ball. 13 home runs in about 62 innings or so. So I can understand why Liège thought they could part company with Pagon and trade him in, as we did, for Jerickson Profar. So Pagon went to the Rays as part of the three-way trade with the Texas Rangers. The guy that came in and is going to stay with Liège for 2019 is Fernando Rodney. Now I'm pleased about this. I'm pleased that Liège picked up their option for Rodney this year. I know from a strict analytical point of view there have been plenty of times over the past 5 or 6 years where you can look at a team and say, is he really the best arm to be a closer? I can understand that criticism, but after 15 years in the major leagues, he's still a good reliever, particularly if you're not trying to use him in high leverage situations all the time. And the other thing for me as a fan, I know it doesn't matter from an analytical point of view, but as a fan, I like guys like Rodney. I like people with a personality. You know, we're not the button-down, pinstripe suit-wearing Yankees. You know, the Oakland Days have always embraced players with a bit of personality, and that certainly sums up Fernando Rodney. So I'm happy that he's going to be with the team again in 2019, and the key thing from an A's UK point of view is Fernando Rodney, not a plonker. Stateside fans, have a Google of British TV sitcom classic Only Fools and Horses. The newcomer to the bullpen is a really good addition for me. It's Joaquim Soria. He'll essentially take on the role that Jarius Familia was playing at the end of the season as a high-quality setup man who can also be a closer at times if needed. Now, he's come in on a 2-year, $15 million contract, which is kind of sensible, practical money for a player of his class, and he really will be a good addition and a good experienced reliever. I know it's always there with a relief pitcher. The clock can strike midnight and they'll turn into a pumpkin. That's always a danger with a relief pitcher, but the track record of Soria is that he is a quality reliever and someone who should be a real asset to the team in our bullpen. Where does that leave us with the bullpen? Well, I think that leaves us pretty well set for now. I know at the FanFest on Saturday, Billy Beane talked about potentially looking for a lefty reliever, another guy to go alongside or battle with Ryan Buchter. The reality is every team is out there looking for an extra lefty reliever, so we'll see if Liège are able to pull one out of a hat. And that would be the one key addition you would look at with the bullpen for now, bearing in mind that the bullpen is a kind of fluid situation across the season, and we're likely to see players coming in and coming out as the season goes on. So we move on to the rotation, and I don't know, is it a rotation, a carousel, a pick and mix? Whatever you want to call it, it's nothing new for the A's. If we roll back a year, it was kind of Sean Manaea and a bunch of flyers. And they were whittled down by injury, sadly, and that devastatingly included Sean Manaea as the season went on, although it was kind of positive news from FanFest that Manaea's rehab is going really well. Initial reports when the shoulder injury came about was that you could probably forget about him for 2019, but it does look like we may see him on the mound at some point this year, which would be a real bonus if that comes true. Looking back at some of the names from last year, Trevor Cahill will not be coming back again. He signed a free agent contract with the Angels for $9 million. And that's a shame. I've always liked Trevor Cahill, and I was glad when we brought him back last year, but I'm sorry, Trevor, mate, you're now turncoat Trevor, I'm afraid. Although, having said that, when you think we paid him $1.5 million last year, and he's now on the hook for $9 million from the Angels this year, maybe he'll turn out to be secret agent Trevor Cahill. Brett Anderson is another favourite of mine, and he is still out there as a free agent without a team, so I do think there's a possibility he may come back to the A's. A bit similar to last year when he signed a minor league deal and was finally brought up right at the start of May, so I'll be happy if they could work out a deal to bring him back again this year, not only for the Suede song title references. The other name that was with us at the end of last season was Edwin Jackson. Now, rumours are pretty thin on the ground as to where he may end up. He's still out there on the free agent market. I guess he may come back. Again, it all comes down to the dollars and what sort of contract he would want. There may be a very kind of low, maybe $1.5 million deal with incentives or something like that we could get him on. So, yeah, wouldn't rule that out, but wouldn't say it's desperately likely at the moment. One player who will be back with the team is Mike Fiers. Now, he was brought in August, of course, and initially wasn't tendered a contract, but Fiers and A's have come to an agreement on a 2-year, $14 million deal, and that's a good signing for me. Currently, he would be our number one pitcher, so anyone else looking at the A's and saying, Mike Fiers is your ace, that's not very good. I mean, you can understand that, but we're not expecting him to be a true ace. He's a good, solid innings eater, and it's very easy to underestimate how important guys like that are to a team, especially to a team like the A's who don't have a lot of money, aren't going to go out and buy a big-ticket free agent or trade a lot of players away to get another pitcher. The same could be said for our latest new recruit, Marco Estrada. Kind of similar situation with Fiers in that the one knock on him is that he is a bit homer helpful, but the Coliseum may play to our advantage there in kind of lessening the impact of that. Now, Estrada had done really well for the Blue Jays in 3 previous years, but in 2018 it kind of fell apart for him. So that is a red flag, given that he's now into his mid-30s, I think 34, 35, as to whether, is this the kind of beginning of the end? But they mentioned at FanFest on Saturday that he was pitching for a back injury that is now cleared up. So hopefully he can bounce back and be more like the pitcher we saw with the Blue Jays the 3 previous seasons. If he does, then that's another really good, solid innings eater type pickup for the A's. So that's where we are for now. Fiers and Estrada at the top, and then you've got guys like Daniel Mengden, Frankie Montas, people like that, who may kind of come in and kind of fill in at the start of the season, and then we'll see the rotation develop as the season goes on. I do think that the club probably will be out there looking on a free agent market and seeing if they can bring in another deal. Again, a bit similar to what we did with Cahill and Anderson last year, where we brought them in March. We'll probably wait out the market and try and bring in a couple of arms just to give it a try, really, and see who we can bring in. And they may work out, they may not. The one guy who's out there from an A's fan point of view that obviously is still in our minds is Gio Gonzalez. He's a free agent and not with a team as yet. When at the start of the free agent market, the MLB trade rumours did a kind of report on who they felt that some of the top free agents might go to, and they predicted a 2-year, $24 million contract for Gonzalez, potentially coming back to the A's. The one thing I'll say about that now is if you look at our projected 25-man opening day payroll on Cox baseball contracts, on Baseball Perspectives, that's a shade under $83 million now that we've brought Estrada in. So I would be surprised if we did add another kind of 10, 12 million salary to that. I think it's much more likely it will be more of a incentive-laden deal on kind of $1.5 to $3 million contract on a free agent sign. And again, potentially someone like Brett Anderson or Edwin Jackson, bringing them back for another go with the A's. The most exciting idea for a rotation would, of course, been promoting our top prospect, Jesus Luzardo. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. That's how I pronounce it with my funny English accent. That would be really exciting, a very promising left-handed hurler. The only thing that's kind of making me a bit wary about getting too excited with him is that we had the same situation last year with AJ Puck. He came into spring training, was lighting things up, and then his arm went pop. So hopefully that doesn't happen to Luzardo. I do still think him making the opening day rotation probably slightly aggressive considering he hasn't pitched much at AAA yet, but I wouldn't rule it out, and he's definitely somebody who's going to make an impact in 2019. Hopefully also AJ Puck too. He's coming back from Tommy John surgery. That all seems to be going well, so I think second half of the season we may see Puck up too, and imagine that, Luzardo and Puck in the rotation. That would be really exciting and really something worth watching out for. Okay, so that's where we are with Leo's move so far this off-season. What do you think about it? Are you happy with what we've done? Is there anything else you'd like to add? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to follow us on Oakland AUK on Twitter, Facebook and on Instagram. And of course, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this new YouTube channel. As I've mentioned before, I'm going to be developing my YouTube skills as a YouTube newbie over the next 2 months as we build up to the start of the regular season. So I'll hopefully put another video out in about a week or so. We'll see what the breaking news is between now and then as to precisely what that will be. But yeah, I'll put another video up fairly soon. I'll also be working over the next week or so in looking into how I can do more in terms of bringing other people into the channel too. So in particular, Hannah and Clarky, Dom, they're both going to Japan for the Tokyo series in March, and they're up for doing some videos from out of there, which would be fantastic. So we'll look at how else we can add some more people to the channel, and if you've got any ideas for the channel or any comments about how it's going, anything you'd like to see, please do let us know either in the comments below or on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks again for watching. I'm Matt Smith, and don't forget to tune in to YouTube on our Oakland A's channel as we move ahead to the MLB season starting at the end of March.